Hurricane Dorian now approaching the Florida coast. Coming up, how Florida has prepared and what residents there can expect as the storm hovers just offshore.
It's another strong turnout for Butte's annual Labor Day picnic. But is the future of Union strong in Butte?
Just ahead of 6:30 on this Tuesday after Labor Day. Jill Lehman, Missy O'Malley with you. We'll get to that story in just a moment. Meantime, Hurricane Dorian has been wreaking havoc on the Bahamas for over 24 hours, whirling in place, causing massive flooding, damage, and now some reported fatalities.
Now, while the strength of the storm has been downgraded, it is still a major hurricane, and authorities are warning residents along the Florida coastline to expect dangerous weather conditions.
Nadia Romero is in Jensen Beach with the latest.
Well, the winds are definitely picking up. The storm surge is expected to be several feet above ground. Mandatory evacuations are in full effect for the barrier islands as some 700 people remain in shelters tonight. After days of fluctuating forecasts, new projections, and dire warnings from officials, Dorian is slowly creeping its way toward the U.S. mainland.
Even if it stays off the coast, 4 to 7 feet of storm surge. I mean, that is deadly.
Dorian has shown its potential for massive destruction, hounding the Bahamas for more than 24 hours, leaving buildings in ruin, residents without homes.
Basically, just debris everywhere. Downstairs, everything is completely destroyed, wiped out.
And some families without loved ones.
When we came across our neighbor's house, they told us that they passed away, but we are not certain if the home isn't there anymore, so we don't know.
The storm is expected to brush along Florida's east coast before heading north, bringing the potential for significant damage and life-threatening storm surge to Georgia and the Carolinas.
Because this storm is anticipated to pick up speed, time is running out to get ready.
For now, residents in Florida have done all they can do to prepare. Some have evacuated, others are hunkering down and waiting it out.
A lot of people left Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the ones that are sheltering in place, they know the risks, and we're all in this together.
Now, North Carolina just joined 4 other states under a current state of emergency as the storm tracks north. In Jensen Beach, I'm Nadia Romero reporting.
Wow.
6:31 now, Matt. We were talking about it in that story. They keep talking about storm surge. Can you explain a little bit about what that is we're talking about?
We talk about it like we know exactly what it is, but really, it's a pretty complicated deal because these storms have a lot of mass, a lot of movement. This one's not moving a whole lot, but it's generating all this power, so it's taking all that water out ahead of it, and it's pushing it toward land. That's the surge, and it's associated with that storm. And as long as that storm's there, that water is going to pile up along the coast.
For the same reason you don't come flying into dock on a boat because that wave comes back. It's that same kind of thing.
It's a very similar thing. Yep.
Gotcha.
It's got some mass and it's moving some water.
Gotcha.
Right now it's hovering right along that Florida coastline. That's the expected track. That is through Wednesday evening. It's not moving much at all. In fact, fairly stationary at this point. Temperatures this morning into the 40s and 50s. Pleasant morning, lots of sunshine on tap for us. Mid to upper 80s for the afternoon. A little less wind than we were dealing with yesterday. We're going to break down your complete forecast, of course, coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you for that, Matt. And while the Caribbean and Florida deals with flooding and high winds, fires are still a danger here in the west. New this morning, a wildfire near Great Falls led to evacuations yesterday.
MTN's Lindsay Hyatt spoke with one resident forced to leave her home.
It all started with a wildlands fire, one that civilians like Corinne Lindhorst didn't think much of.
I saw it earlier this afternoon. I was driving home from the store and drove up Vineyard to see the fire, and it looked at that time like it was heading east and not going to top the hill over there.
When the wind shifted, so did the fate of her home.
When the wind goes, the wind goes. We can't do anything about that.
In the 30 years she's lived here, she's never seen a fire come this close.
Last year that big fire came within a half mile of the house, but it veered over to the west, and so we were clear.
Now all she can do is wait to see what becomes of her 30-year-old trailer.
Don't know. We'll figure that out when we get there.
Northwest of Great Falls, Lindsay Hyatt, MTN News.
Now, Cascade County Sheriff Jesse Slaughter says several outbuildings, possibly 2 homes, were burned at this time. Cause and size of that fire has not been determined.
Also new this morning, 40 miles west of Cody, Wyoming, crews are furiously working to battle a 2,000-acre fire in the Shoshone Valley National Forest.
Yeah, erratic gusty winds quadrupled the fire size in just a matter of hours yesterday. Fire was just discovered Monday evening about 6 miles south of the North Fork Highway. A Shoshone National Forest engine and crew, plus Park County Fire Resources, that's Park County, Wyoming, have responded. Public information meeting scheduled for later tonight.
And another fire we are hearing about is near Missoula. Warming temperatures yesterday sparked active fire behavior for a blaze burning in Sanders County. Fire officials say the 7-acre wildfire is burning in the Hot Springs Creek area, and it started from a lightning strike in the past few days. The blaze is burning in heavy foliage, which includes snags and downfall. The Confederated Salish and Kootenai Division Fire has been numerous personnel on that scene, along with helicopter with buckets. No structures or infrastructure are currently threatened.
Well, firefighters say the summer wildfire season is far from over. Fire chiefs say vegetation is as dry or drier than it has been all summer, and any spark could lead to a fire.
They are asking the public to remain vigilant. In the past week, grass fires have been caused by things like sparks from electrical lines and even a hunter hitting a rock with an arrow.
That's why fire officials say even if there is some rain in the next few weeks, fire danger likely to remain high until winter weather finally arrives.
The dead grass, they call them 1-hour fuels, the dead grass. Rain doesn't do them any good. So an hour after it rains, they're ready to burn again. So the only thing that'll really end this season is some either cold nights, temperature drops, or some dew, or snow.
And another new update this morning over on the Northern Cheyenne Reservation, crews are battling a different kind of fire, at least 4 in the past 2 months.
Yeah, there's some photos of them. These underground burning coal beds create what's called a coal seam fire. Fire officials say it's impossible to extinguish a coal seam fire.
Now the flames are already buried, so covering them with dirt is ineffective, and spraying them with water can contaminate the area. So instead, crews are removing fuel around those burning holes and performing regular maintenance on more than 80 active coal seams across the reservation.
I know in some places in the country, some of them have burned for 40 years. It's
absolutely
crazy. Also new today, a Missoula police officer involved in a shooting incident yesterday afternoon, but specifics on what exactly happened, not yet released.
In a press release sent to the media late last night, Sergeant Travis Welsh says approximately 4:40 p.m. yesterday, Missoula police officers responded to a report of a suspicious activity on a dirt lot on the intersection of North 2nd and A Street.
Again, this is in Missoula. A citizen reported what they had suspected was drug activity occurring in or near a recreation vehicle parked there. At one point during the encounter, shots were fired involving the responding officers. News release does not elaborate if anyone was injured.
Sergeant Welsh says the investigation has been turned over to the Montana Department of Justice Division of Criminal Investigation.
Now, despite not making the third DNC Democratic debate, Governor Steve Bullock says he's not backing down in his campaign for president.
He continued his tour through Iowa yesterday on Labor Day Monday. This is his 10th trip through the Hawkeye State, and it won't be his last. During the Houston debate, in just under 2 weeks, the Governor Bullock says he will be talking to voters in Iowa.
Shifting gears just a bit now at 6:37, Butte held its annual Labor Day picnic at Stoughton Park yesterday.
MTN's John Amy was there to talk about the current state of labor unions in the mining city.
The labor unions were a powerful force back in Butte's heyday. But even today, the spirit of the union is still strong in the mining city.
We're gonna roll, we're gonna roll, we're gonna roll the union on.
People are so much more engaged than they were even 12 years ago.
Union members and supporters were out in force at Butte's annual Labor Day picnic Monday.
We've discovered we got about 24% union density here in Butte. It's the highest in the state.
And while people enjoyed an afternoon of hot dogs, music, and games, some understood that there are those that want to crush unions in this country, and that the gains of the labor movement can't be taken for granted.
If not, we're going to see many of these hard-earned gains be basically taken away from us. We're already seeing, the erosion of workers' rights nationwide, collective bargaining rights, and the rights of, regarding benefits and access to health care and things like that.
Some local unions are seeing more growth.
I think the tides are starting to turn on that, right? Because you can only pull the wool over people's eyes for so long before they realize that you need a voice and the workers need a voice.
So a lot of union leaders are optimistic about the future, but they say they got to encourage more young people to join the unions.
What we're finding out now is more and more young people want to join a labor union. So what we're actually seeing is a revisit of 100 years ago, really, and a strong labor movement.
In Butte, John Amy, MTN News.
Now, Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney and Democratic congressional candidate Kathleen Williams also spoke at the event yesterday.
6:40 now. I want you to give you a chance to get to your TV. You're going to love this next little clip of video. A lodge and restaurant in Big Sky. Quite the visitor this Labor Day weekend. A black bear wandered into the lobby.
Now check this out. Video from Buck's T4 Lodge and Restaurant. This is Saturday night. The yearling black bear managed to make his way through the lobby window, made himself quite at home in the women's bathroom.
Wash your hands before you leave. It took a couple of hours, but Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, along with Gallatin County Sheriff's deputies, able to safely tranquilize and remove the bear. David O'Connor, owner of Buck's T4, tells MTN News, despite the circumstances, it all ended very well. The bear only caused a few $100 worth of damage. A moment's guess that night, definitely won't forget.
Wow. It could have been a lot worse.
It could have been a lot worse for the bear and for everybody else involved.
I think they got to frame that picture.
I think so too. That's quite a deal.
Taking a little nap in the sink.
Snoozing in the sink.
Oh, imagine walking into that. Oh my goodness, it just takes my breath away.
I understand from Fish, Wildlife, and Parks they've relocated the bear to a much less human populated area.
Perfect.
So that's good. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Hopefully not the Blue Moon Bakery.
Oh no,
or any other,
I think even a little further away than that.
That's good. That's good. We do have to take a quick break. Let's take a look ahead on Montana this morning, as well as CBS this morning coming up at 7.